Hey, everybody. Good morning. How are you? Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. So if you're here, you're alive, it's Friday. Congratulations. You're at the end of the week. So hopefully you have some good stuff coming up on the weekend. Or really, in some cases, some of you might already be in the weekend, right? I know that around the world, we have different countries and different cultures where a Friday is also part of the weekend holiday. So hope that you're doing well. Hope that your families are safe in your part of the world and that everything is good with all the things that you have going on in your life. Really glad that we get to spend some more time together today, talking really about anything you want. I thought we had some fantastic discussion yesterday. I really enjoyed yesterday's discussion on the different soft skills that we talked about. So for today, we're going to continue with the intent of continuing to build out the data science school, but we can really talk about anything you guys want. Fridays are also an increasingly special day for me because it's also when I check in with all of my clients. On Fridays, when people sign up for a coaching plan with me, it's not just a one-way conversation. I don't just wait for you to come to me. Sometimes I reach out to you and send you articles or different thoughts or things like that. So on Fridays is when I usually reach out to everybody just to make sure they're doing okay, make sure everybody's good and healthy. So another reason for me to enjoy Fridays, I did some of my check-ins right before this stream started, so we'll kind of see how those responses come back and how everybody's doing out there. But if you're in the chat, whether it's on YouTube or X or whatever, or Instagram, please feel free to say hello. Let us know where you're from, how you're doing. But otherwise, in a little bit here, I'm going to start up my data science school, and we're going to keep on working. We're still defining the curriculum, defining some of the topics that are going to happen within each one of the courses. So happy to get all of your feedbacks. The chat overall collectively has already given some fantastic feedback. We've added some AI courses, we've added some specialty courses, we've added some project-based ideas. So yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm certainly willing to consider adding it to the school, or we can just have general discussion. But really, just really grateful that we get to spend more time together. I'm really grateful in retrospect that I was able to get back to a little bit more of a daily streaming schedule. I took a little bit of a break there at the beginning of the year for a variety of reasons, but now I'm back. So if you guys want to join me, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I stream online this same time. Whatever time it is for you in the world, it should be 1500 GMT. This is the time that I usually stream at. Okay. So already in the chat, I see my good friend Osama. Osama, thank you so much. You're such a long time supporter, Osama. Thank you. Osama says, "Happy Friday, Dennis. I hope everything is going well." Thank you, Osama. I think things are going well. So thank you so much. I hope things are good with you and your family. I believe you're from Morocco, so I hope you're doing well out there. I imagine that Morocco is starting to get a little bit warm this time of year. I think a lot of countries are, at least in the northern hemisphere, are starting to get warm this time of year. So hope that you're doing well. If anybody else just wants to say hello, you're certainly welcome to do that. Yassine, another longtime supporter. Hello, sir. Yassine from Tangier, Morocco. Nice. Welcome, Yassine. So good to see you again. You're such a great supporter. Thank you so much, Yassine. I hope you're doing well in your studies. Let us know how your studies are going. I think you'd be getting close to the end of the school year. I know that my niece and nephew, who are also college age, they are getting very, very close to the end of their school year. So I think that's happening in a lot of parts of the world. So let us know how you're doing, Yassine. Hopefully everything is going good with your studies and whatnot. And again, for anybody in the chat that wants to say hello, please go ahead and do so. So I want to bring up my screen. So guys, if you go to school.datasciencewithdennis.com, you'll see this same view that I have up on my screen. And this is the homepage to the data science school that I want to start. Now, obviously, coming up with all the materials is a very challenging thing. So I have to give myself some time leading up to it, right? But I know what courses I want to offer. I know the themes that I want to cover, or at least at a high level, right? And then part of the whole reason why I'm streaming is so that I can, well, one, I can keep myself accountable to make consistent progress towards this. But two, you in the chat have the opportunity to help me define what are some of the things that you'd want to see in these courses. Like, what does it mean to actually have the basics of statistics, right? What are we going to include in there? So most of the ones that I had done ahead of time already have a graphic associated, but you can see down here, we've added quite a few new courses based on what we talked about in the chat. I still haven't created the graphics for these, and maybe we'll do those on stream sometime. But this is kind of the whole purpose of these live streams, where you can play a role in helping define what you'd like to see. So we had some fantastic discussion yesterday on soft skills. Kind of a challenging thing to teach, right? How do you teach a soft skill? That's not always easy. I'm going to attempt it in some of these, right? Because I definitely have topics around these. But it's going to be a challenge. In the chat, Manoj, how are you, my friend? Says, hello, sir. Manoj from Bangalore, India. So nice to see you, Manoj. Glad you're here. Hopefully everything is going good for you out there in India. Let us know how you're doing. Let us know how your family's doing. But glad that you're here. Thanks so much, Manoj. Denelson says, good morning, Sir Dennis. Denelson from LA, hoping everyone's having a great Friday. Denelson, you always have such great greetings for everyone in the chat. Thanks so much for that. I'm having a great Friday. So chat, let me know if you're having a great Friday. It's a beautiful day out here. It's going to be nice and sunny. After this, I'm actually, I should have said that earlier. I have to cut this stream just a little bit shorter today because I do have a client coaching session at 9 a.m. my time. So I will be cutting the stream just a little early. And then after that, I'm going to go take care of some personal items, kind of run my own personal errands. So it's going to be a good Friday, Denelson. I hope the same for you. Denelson, let me know if you're listening to us in the car or in the office. I know that you've said both of those things, or who knows, maybe you work remotely on Fridays. That's a common thing, right? So maybe you're at home. But let us know how you're doing, Denelson. All right, so as I was saying, if you go to school.datasciencedennis.com, you'll find everything that I'm seeing here. And then I'll show you this list is what basically we've been working on, right? Where this list corresponds to the courses that you just saw, but we're also, but as of yesterday, I started adding some of the bullet items that belong to each course. So the way to think about this is that the big bold letters, that's not a course, that's a category, or the portion that I want to teach, right? The next bullet down is the actual course name. And then the last bullet is the concept or the part of that lesson that I want to teach. So I do this because it kind of helps me map and architect everything out in my head. But it also makes me come up with different ideas. And also maybe it makes me say, oh, wait a minute, maybe estimation should be its own course. Maybe that's bigger than just a topic within a course. Things like that, right? So if you guys have additions for what you want to see in some of these items, let me know. Okay? Manoj says, everything is going well here, sir. How are you doing? How are your parents doing? Oh, Manoj, thank you so much for asking. My parents are doing okay. We're still working through some of the items that they need to, be able to move on with their lives and move forward. But they're, they have their health, right? They have their health. So we got to be grateful for the things that we do have. But, still working through a variety of items. So thank you so much, Manoj. I appreciate you asking. Okay, guys. So I think I'm going to continue along the same path that what I was doing yesterday. And that's where I'm going to be filling in different subtopics for each of these items. And I'm going to talk out loud while I do that. Because then maybe that sparks some idea on your side on, oh, well, I'd also like to hear about this, or I'd also like to hear about, whatever, right? So I'm going to start doing that. But if you have other suggestions or other classes that you want to talk about, let me know. If you just want to have free chat, we're open to that too. Yesterday we had some, kind of like open discussion chat, and it led to some great thoughts and discussion. So we're gonna kind of keep it loose today in that regard. Okay. All right. So let me think. You're gonna have to forgive me for my ADD, right? Because my ADD makes me jump around and say, "Oh, wait, let me add this," and "Oh, let me go over here." And so you're gonna have to forgive me for that. All right. So I saw the basics of analytics. So when I think about the basics of analytics, you really can't talk about them without talking about KPIs, right? So what is a KPI? And then what is a dashboard? And then what makes for an effective dashboard? Because you can create dashboards, doesn't always mean that they're good, right? And then I want to talk about actually no, because I have a basics of analytics and I have an advanced analytics. Don't I? Or no? I don't have an advanced analytics. I have the basics of analytics, but not advanced analytics. That's okay. I think that's okay. So what I want to do here is I want to do analytics models. I thought maybe that'd be an advanced topic, but I think it's okay to include it in a basics course. Okay, I think that's it for right now. Actually, no, one more thing. I want to make a distinct. I want to kind of carve out a portion for specifically for business intelligence. All right. So causality studies. I want to fill this out a little bit later. I might have to think about that one a little bit more off stream. Anti-web scraping for data. I'm pretty happy with where that's going. So if you guys attended last week, you remember that that's something we talked about, how I'm not a big fan of web scraping. So I'm going to try to enable you guys to understand how you can get data, right? Because to me, data is all around. I think data is super easy to find. Web scraping, I think, can kind of be like the lazy way out, right? So I'm going to keep the web scraping courses as they are, but I'm open to being wrong on that if you guys want to suggest other things. All right, data science methodology. What do I want to do there? Oh, Denelson, great suggestion. Something I think that can be beneficial, and maybe I missed it, is ethical data science practice. Yeah. So that's definitely going to be under the data science for executives. So guys, under data science for executives, the plan courses are data science project planning, data science project deployment, stakeholder management, and soft skills for data science. So Denelson, I think that might be its own course. So Denelson, great suggestion. So if Denelson or anybody else in the chat wants to think about what you would want to see in an ethical data science course, please let me know. I can think of a couple of things, but let me know. Because ethics can be such a... It can be a tricky tricky topic. Say that fast 5 times. Tricky topic. Ugh, that's hard. Because ethics can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, right? Like, are you talking about data privacy, the copyrights and intellectual property around data? Are you talking about maybe like age restrictions on AI? Do you want kids using AI? Maybe you have to be a certain age for AI. So what do you guys think? What does ethical data science practice mean to you? I'd love to see that in the chat, because I think that if we all went around, we would get distinctly different answers, right? Like we would come up with different answers from each other, I think. So let me know, what does that mean for you? What does it mean for you? What would you like to see in a course like this? But yeah, Denelson, thanks so much for the reminder, because I think we had talked about that briefly. Okay, so coming back to the data science section, I'm going to hold off on adding items here. My gut tells me that the data science methodology section or course will be the longest of all of them. I mean, to me, data science methodology could be an entire book. But, I'm going to have to find a way to encapsulate it in a course, but it's not going to be a short one. And you know what? I think a good initial topic is, why does methodology matter? You guys always hear me talk about methodology, and I'm really, really big on it. But I'm not sure if I've done a good enough job of telling you guys the why. So maybe we need to, so it feels like that section needs to start off with that, right? Why does methodology matter? So I think I'm gonna definitely kick off with that. Sam, so good to see you, Sam. It's been a while. How are you? It's been a while, Sam, but I'm positive you joined us before. But yeah, thanks for being here, Sam. Dennis, hello from, is it Tlaxcala? Tlaxcala, Mexico. I think I'm saying that right. Let me know. But thanks so much for being here. It's so good to see you. It's been at least a couple of months, but glad you're back. So Sam, up on the screen, I have the courses that I have planned out for my data science school. So if there's a topic or a course that you'd like to see added, let us know. And also for the rest of the chat, for everybody, the current question for the chat is, what does ethical data science mean for you? I'm sure there's different answers, right? There's different answers, different things that are important to us, different things that might be important by geography, right? Or by country, right? Like, for example, we know that the EU has some of the strongest personal information rules or laws than any other region, right? The GDPR laws. So, is that important to talk about in ethics? Sure, right? Sam says, I am good. I enjoy the class. Sam says, okay, I would like to know if I need to subscribe. So Sam, I am definitely looking for founding members for the data science school. I'm inviting everybody to join ahead of time. My intent is to launch the school August 1st, but I want to find 1,000 students that want to sign up ahead of time. I want to make sure that this idea is viable, right? I think I can find 1,000 students. It's an aggressive number, and sometimes I get intimidated by it, but I think it's achievable. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I encourage everybody to please sign up right away. I'm kind of stuck a little bit because I think people are just hearing, oh, I have until August 1st to sign up. Well, the intent is to sign up ahead of time, right? So I don't know. Maybe I need to find a way to motivate people to sign up ahead of time, like maybe raise the price by $1 every month or something. I don't know what the answer is. Let me know in the chat if you guys have suggestions for that, right? Because I think people are waiting till August 1st, but they don't understand that if it doesn't happen before August 1st, then I just won't do it. I mean, I'll return everybody's money. Nobody's going to lose a dime. And just kind of, leave the idea for another time, right? So Sam says, please consider me. Yeah, Sam. So the link to sign up is already in the chat. It's a pinned comment in the YouTube chat. So feel free to click on that. and subscribe. Um, I'm going to stay optimistic that it can be done. I'm going to stay optimistic. Because, also for me to do this, I have to get a proper server in place. I have to get a proper database. I'm going to be using some consultants to help me with the software. This software is known as Moodle. It is a widely accepted learning management system, LMS. It seems to be a pretty good piece of software, but I'm definitely not an expert in it. So I'm going to need some help that I'm going to have to hire and, help me with some of the Moodle stuff. But I'm going to stay optimistic that there's 1,000 people out there that want to do this. So if you'd like to show your support, please go ahead and sign up. I know some people in the chat have already signed up. Manoj, I know you've signed up. Denelson, I know you've already signed up. So thanks a lot for that, guys. But that's where we're at with the sign up, Sam. Okay, so coming back to the list. And by the way, nobody has contributed on the ethical AI, right? In a way, that's good. I'm very encouraged by that because that means that it would be an innovative course, right? I don't want you guys to have opinions on everything. I want the courses to be new, right? To be different. So let me know if you guys are just being shy or if you want to you don't really know much about ethical AI. Okay, so data science methodology is where I left off. Why does methodology matter? I'm going to have a lot of fun with that one because I could talk about methodology all day long. Okay, so under advanced statistics, I have A/B testing, p-values, t-testing, and z-testing. I think that's what I want to offer, what I want to cover there, because in basic statistics, I'm already covering MMR, distributions, standard deviations, law of big numbers, confidence intervals, and the students table. So I think I'm already good there, and then that's all I want to cover in advanced statistics. I can't think of many other statistics topics that you would need beyond that. Remember, guys, I'm trying to add my real world experience to all of this also, right? So my real world experience tells me that this is all I've used in my career. So I think I'm going to leave that there. Okay. So machine learning. Can't talk about machine learning without talking about classification models, right? And you have to also talk about predictive models, right? And then we also have to talk about supervised and unsupervised studies, right? And then here, I want to make the distinction between training cycles and predictive cycles. We also need to talk about model metrics, basically the confusion matrix. And you really can't talk about this without talking about precision. Actually, just to keep myself in order here. Accuracy, precision, and recall. Right? You really can't talk about model metrics without bringing those in, right? And actually here, we also need to talk about regression models. Kind of hard to talk about machine learning without giving a basis in regression models, right? Although regression models is arguably in the advanced statistics. Manoj says ROC. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and add that. Yassine says MSc. I think I'm tempted to include that under regression models. What do you guys think? Is regression models under machine learning or advanced statistics? Personally, I can see it both ways. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. My first introduction ever to regression modeling was actually in a statistics course. And that was during my undergrad. Is that right? Yeah, during undergrad. So I know for a fact that regression is taught in some statistics courses. Denelson says, different types of statistics, predictive, description, inference. Oh, yeah. So Denelson, you're bringing up a good point here. I want to talk about that in advanced statistics, and I'm gonna just capture that all under inferential statistics. That's actually one of my excuse me, sorry. That's one of the questions I ask in my interviews, right? What's inferential statistics, and give me an example of inferential statistics. If you guys want to test yourselves and give me an answer in the chat, I'll let you know what the model answer is in a few minutes here. But that is 100% a question I ask on interviews. What is inferential statistics, and give me an example of it. You can give me a real world example, or just a theoretical example, right? But if you're a data scientist and you're pretty good, you should know what inferential statistics is, right? I mean, that to me is probably not a difficult question. Okay, so some people, Manoj, Osama, and Denelson, I think they're saying in advanced statistics. So I agree. I think we're going to put that under advanced statistics. Yeah. Okay, so that means advanced statistics is going to be a pretty big course all of a sudden. But that's okay. That's okay. All right. So, and I also like that I'm introducing MSc up here because it's a good segue into the model metrics in machine learning. Okay. This is good. This is good. Let me know if there's anything else in the machine learning section you guys want me to add. So again, guys, the question in the chat right now, and this is a question I asked during interviews, what is inferential statistics, and can you give me an example of it? And you can give me a theoretical example or something that you've used in the past. Now, guys, if you have trouble coming up with an answer for that, then you should probably reconsider if you're ready for data scientist interviews. Now, I don't mean in a bad way. I know some of you are still studying, still building your skills, and that's cool. But that's a pretty good marker, right? I mean, if a question like that kind of rattles you, or you're not quite ready to answer that, then might want to spend more time with the books, right? More time getting ready. All right. Next one is neural networks. Speaking of neural networks, this Sunday we're gonna keep on going with our Neural Network Sunday series. We've had 2 of those. Unfortunately, I had to pause last week. We did something different last week, but we're going to pick it up. This will be our 3rd session. We're actually going to do some coding this time. We've been working on building the basics so much that we actually haven't done any coding. So we're going to fix that this Sunday. We're going to do some coding. Okay? All right. So what is a neural network? What is a node? What is an activation function? Neural network design. And I definitely want to have something on what do I want to. Man, I had something in mind and I forgot what it was. I'll have to come back to this. Okay, so Osama says, "Sir, what about an explainability AI tool like Shap?" That's a good question, Osama. So actually, you know what? I just remembered what it was, and it kind of ties into Osama's question. So obviously, I can't have a section on neural networks without talking about the frameworks that are available for neural networks, right? Because that's how they're actually done in the real world, right? You won't be writing the math formulas; it's all taken care of in the in the libraries that are available, right? Um, but having said that, I don't want to go too deeply into any one tool, right? Because I don't want us to be married to these tools. So, Osama, your suggestion on an explainability tool, I want to talk about explainability. That's certainly important, but I don't know how dedicated I want to be to any one tool. So, so again, here in the neural network side, I don't want to be too dedicated to PyTorch or too dedicated to Keras. So I don't know. That's going to be a tough balance. I don't know what that's going to look like, Osama. So if you guys want to give me some feedback in the chat, let me know. Okay. You know what, Yassine? I saw your message, but I also remembered one more thing, guys. I can't believe you guys let me forget this. We can't talk about machine learning without time series models, right? I can't believe you guys let me forget that. So time series models, have to talk about time series at some point, right? All right, so Yassine suggested vanishing gradients. Yeah, that's a good one. I want to make that as a subset to activations functions, because vanishing gradients for the most part is a product of activations functions, right? To be more specific, it's a direct result of the multiplication that happens in the majority of activation functions. Yes, one thing that is a good add is data pre-processing. Okay, Yassine, that's a good one. Where? Where do you want to add it? To me, that feels like data science methodology. What do you guys think? Let me know. Manoj. Okay, Manoj. Manoj is stepping up to the plate. I love it, guys. I love people who take risks. So Manoj is going to give us an inferential statistics. Inferential statistics is analyzing data from a sample to make generalizations or draw conclusions about a larger population. Okay, is he right? Maybe if you're a little too shy, you can just say, hey, I agree with Manoj, right? Is he right? Inferential statistics is analyzing data from a sample to make generalizations or draw conclusions about a larger population. What do you guys think? You know what? Let's make this easy. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Manoj is right, and put a 0 in the chat if you think Manoj is wrong. What do you guys think? Let's take a quick poll and then I'll give you guys the answer. Manoj is adding, it's statistics when we run an experiment on sample space and conclude results on the population. Okay. Okay. What do you guys think? Is Manoj right or is he wrong? Give me a 1 if he's right. Give me a 0 if he's wrong. Okay, Yassine is voting 1. Anybody else? Last call for votes. Osama says, I think inferential statistics is the use of sample statistics to generalize population parameters. Okay. So Osama, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but generally speaking, that sounds like you're agreeing with Manoj. Let me know. Denelson says, I agree with Manoj, but I'm not completely sure how I can explain it myself. Okay. All right. So Denelson, we're going to talk about that because it ties back to yesterday's discussion about soft skills. So yeah, so I think everybody else is too shy to vote, but I will tell you that Manoj is right. Manoj is giving a perfectly reasonable answer to what inferential statistics is. I would accept this answer. You know, if we were in an interview setting, I would accept that answer, right? So here's the thing, guys. And tying back to Denelson's question, being able to explain things like this, super critical for soft skills, right? Super critical. So Denelson, if you want something to personally work on, or really for anybody in the chat, this is a really good thing to work on. And Manoj, I'll also tell you this: there's a couple of there's 2 soft skill things we can work on just by looking at the chat, guys. So, how do you take this, and how do you explain it to a managing director who may or may not, most likely not, is a technical person? Right? How do you explain that to a non-technical person in the most brief way possible? And the second part we can learn from this is, Manoj, you gave a great answer in your first one, right? And part of soft skills and the way you present yourself is being confident in your answers. So don't present a second answer, right? Once you got your first answer out there, keep it, right? You got to die on that hill. You drop the microphone and you leave the room, right? Don't give a second answer. It undercuts yourself, right? That's part of the delivery skill, the delivery skill in data science, right? So here's how the conversation goes, guys, right? You would never talk about inferential statistics in a meeting. You know, let's say you're in a meeting in front of 3 or 4 managing directors, a couple directors in the room, and you're talking about some insights that you found in a study. You know that you got it via inferential statistics, right? But they don't. So they're going to ask you, hey, that 27% you're showing up on the screen, how'd you get that? You got it via inferential statistics, right? Excuse me. Okay, so put it in the chat. How do you respond to a managing director that just asked you how you got a number on the screen and you got it via inferential statistics? But you're being taken, but you're being challenged, right? You're being challenged to explain a particular result. What do you say? What do you say? What do you do? You got to reply something, right? Everybody's looking to you. It's your numbers. It's your presentation. You're the one standing up there. What do you answer when they ask you how you got a result from inferential statistics? Let me know in the chat. Manoj says, agree with you. Yeah, Manoj, you're a smart guy. I know you knew that. Resist the temptation to kind of undercut yourself, right? You give an answer, you give it confidently, and that's it. You're done, right? You got to stand by the answer you gave. Super important as part of the delivery side of soft skills. Okay? But let me know, guys. How do you explain inferential or a result you got from inferential statistics to a non-technical audience? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about that one. All right. So while you guys think about that, I'm going to keep on looking here. We have a few more minutes, guys. Like I said, I need to cut out early because I am running a one-on-one session today. If you'd rather talk about things in private, one-on-one, I love doing that part with my clients. So you're welcome to sign up for a session on that also. So we were looking at neural networks. Those messages on Twitch always come through about the free users or the users they can add to your account. Does anybody actually ever click on those? Like, I don't know who's buying those services. All right, so data science for executives, data science planning. What is a data science project? Capacity planning, right? Can't talk about project planning without capacity planning. Resource planning, right? How many servers are you gonna need, right? Data science project deployment. We need to talk about model maintenance. We need to talk about model review, stakeholder management, soft skills for data science, ethical data science practice, AI for data science. We talked about foundational models. We talked about fine-tuning models. You can't talk about fine-tuning without talking about data preparation / requirements, agents for business. I'll have to think about that one. Basics of natural language processing, and then there's advanced natural language processing. Okay, so here we need to talk about data collection, stop words, conjugations, EDA for NLP, and then visualization for NLP. Under advanced, I want to start that with talking about n-grams, talking about vectors and embeddings. What else I want to talk about? Oh, I need to talk about data collection. And also need to talk about data pre-processing. Down here, need to talk about model deployment. That's specific. Do NLP. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it for now. And some of this stuff, guys, I'll fine tune off screen. And I'll certainly be developing a lot of the materials off screen because I want you guys to be surprised. I want it to be like a surprise for you guys when you get in there, right? All right, guys. So I think I want to stop here because, like I said, I want to get ready for my client call. It's in 15 minutes. But great discussion today. We'll continue this tomorrow, 1500 GMT. Whatever time you logged in during this hour, same time. And then Sunday, we're going to continue our neural network series. So that'll be fun. We've been going for at least 2 hours every single one of those streams. So come on Sunday if you want to learn about neural networks, and then we'll pick up from there. All right, guys. So again, I'm asking for your support. Please go and sign up for the school. I need to see 1,000 people sign up. Otherwise, I'm just going to stop the idea, right? Because that means that there's not enough interest in the idea. Okay, Yassine, you're giving some good examples here, so let me quickly go over to those, but I really do need to cut the stream early. Yassine says, I think the easier explanation, for example, we want to get an idea about consumers of some product because it's very hard to collect all consumers. So we take a small sample of consumers and we interview them, and we make sure through some statistical test that their answers will be similar to the whole population. Yeah, that's a reasonable explanation. Yeah, I'm on board with that. So good one, Yassine. I think most people would agree that that's a fairly reasonable way to explain it to a managing director, right? I think the only change is I would remove the word population because you want to remove anything that's even remotely technical, right? But yeah, Denelson says inferential statistics is when we assume an underlying pattern about the entire sample. Denelson, but remember, you don't when you're talking to the non-technical audience, you don't have to disclose that you're using inferential statistics, right? That's almost like when you start to lose them, right? It sounds like a very intimidating term. So if you look at Yassine managed to explain it without using inferential statistics, right? So you're definitely on the right track, Denelson, but even the slightest technical term or anything that sounds fancy or academic has the risk of losing your audience, right? But you're on the right track there. All right, guys. So I guess I will see you tomorrow and Sunday if you guys would like to come for that. But thank you so much for the feedback. Really enjoy this interaction. So as always, please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you guys next time.